Hey guys, Marc Goldberg from Marc Blogs Watches. Thank you for joining me for another exciting episode. I got something cut off, which is why I got the little band-aid there. And today we're going to talk about why you should wear your good watches more, why you should not polish them, and why you shouldn't be afraid of scratches. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video, let's go ahead and do a quick fist watch check. And here it is. Today I'm wearing the Rolex Hulk. Let's cover that up. The Rolex Hulk. It is a green, beautiful submariner, and in a little while we're going to take a look at this puppy out in the brilliant afternoon sunshine so you can see what she really looks like when the sun hits her. So, like most of you guys, I'm on various Facebook groups, and recently in one of the Rolex Facebook groups, I noticed a fellow who was asking about his Rolex Submariner that dates all the way back to 1984. Now, I don't think that's quite vintage, but it's getting there. It's not a classic yet. He has a 14060, which is a Rolex Submariner pre-ceramic. And that watch, it's destined to become a future classic because it's tritium. And what he was complaining about was that the watch had a faded bezel, faded dial, faded hands, and a stretched bracelet. And he was asking for advice whether he should take it to the Rolex authorized dealer or whether he should take it right to the Rolex service center. And a lot of the guys were saying, take it to the Rolex service center. They're going to do a better job than the AD. Hold the phone. Couple of things. First, the authorized dealers who have Rolex service centers located within their premises are Rolex certified, so there really shouldn't be a difference. You should just get just as good service at an authorized dealer working on your watch as the RSC or Rolex Service Center, which is a regional Rolex center. If you know different or if you disagree, feel free to please discuss that in the comments. But here's the thing. The only watch that I would have serviced by Rolex would be one that was either under warranty or a really recent model, okay? So a 1984 watch, guys, the value, think about this. We all know everybody wants an unpolished watch. We want it boxed, we want it papers, we want it unpolished. What's that mean? What that means is we want somebody else's scratches on there if we're going to buy it on the used market. Now, why would that be? Well, it's a whole lot like cars or violins. You know, if you buy some kind of classic car and it had a restoration job on it and they stripped away all the old paint, stripped away all the old chrome, replaced all the old upholstery, well, you can actually be removing value. Now, I know a little bit less about cars and a little bit more about violins. And, so if you were to take, let's say, a 30, 40-year-old Rolex and you were to polish it, that would be like taking a Stradivarius violin, sanding it down, and then shellacking it with some kind of like modern shellac. Fellas, the value of your watch is in its original and used condition. So if you have an older watch with an aluminum bezel and it's scratched up, and if it is fading and if the tritium is changing color on your hands, well, guys, guess what? That's called patina and it has value. If you were to have a watch like that serviced, what Rolex wants to do is they want to restore it to like new condition. They want to restore it right back to spec. So if you've got an older watch and they return it right back to spec, they're going to scrape off all the value because they're going to take away the patina. So my advice is if you've got a 20-year-old or older Rolex, and if you want to get it serviced, just get the movement serviced, and your authorized dealer can do that, but tell them please don't polish it, service movement only, and replace the gaskets. Replacing the gaskets will ensure the watertight seal of your watch remains integral, and getting the movement service will, of course, guarantee that it will work for many years to come. So that's what I would do on these older watches. Now, on the newer guys, like this bezel, for example, this is a Cerachrome bezel. That is Rolex's version of ceramic. Well, it's never going to fade. So what would I do relating to servicing a watch like this or wearing a watch like this? Let's take a look at the video. You'll see what this watch looks like in the sunlight. This is a beautiful Rolex Hulk that I got from James & Sons in Orland Park. By the way, if you're somewhere in the Midwest area, James & Sons, I find them to be the authorized dealer who will take you seriously if you call. So, use my name. I make no promises, but I can tell you this. They supplied a couple of my viewers with watches, Rolex, and they'll at least take you seriously. They'll be polite. Okay, guys, let's take a look at the Hulk in sunlight. Before we go any further, I would take it as a personal favor if you will hit like on this video and subscribe if you haven't done that before. I've got lots of stuff to come through 2020 and I'd like you to be with me. Hitting like helps me on YouTube because otherwise YouTube doesn't know I'm alive. The dial and bezel of this Hulk are very polarizing. Some people don't like it, but I think it's completely mesmerizing, particularly when you get into strong sunlight like this, right? So if you're on the beach, boy, it's going to be flashing and showing in full glory. But honestly, if you're under fluorescent lights in an office situation, I don't think it's going to stand out that much. It's going to look close to the black one. Guys, the point that I was trying to make earlier is that you shouldn't keep a Rolex like this exclusively in the safe. If you have a good watch, a Breitling, a Rolex, an Omega, by all means, I think what you should do is go out there and wear it. Bear in mind, there's actually value in the wear and patina. Don't think that if you get a mark or a scratch on it, it's the end of the world and you just destroyed the value in your watch. The reality is, if you wear that watch for 10 years, polish it up, make it look like new, you probably will get less for it than if you had sold it on the open market in its current and used condition. Now, guys, if there's some kind of little hairline scratch that's bothering you, all right, maybe once a year you could take a Cape Cod cloth and just kind of gently wipe away those scratches. I made a bunch of videos on how to do that, and I'll put a couple of the better ones in the description of this video, because you absolutely can clean up the worst of the hairline scratches using a $5 Cape Cod cloth, and then that's on the high polish surfaces only, by the way, and then on the matte finish surfaces such as a matte finish bracelet, you can use a 3M scrubby that's right on a kitchen sponge to just lightly buff and touch those up. But I think the point I really want to make here is you're not destroying the value of your watch by wearing it, you're enhancing it. So by all means, enjoy your watch. Well, guys, here are my concluding thoughts on the topic. When Rolex was making watches with aluminum bezels, with tritium, and with less than perfect dials, they developed patina over time. Patina is actually corrosion, oxidation, water damage. You know, Father Time does cruel things, as I can attest. Father Time does cruel things, and the older watches were susceptible to the aging process. The new watches, as far as we know, are not. These dials are supposed to be impervious to fading. The Cerachrome or ceramic bezels are supposed to be impervious to fading, let alone resistant to scratching. And even the dials, none of that is supposed to change or fade over time. Okay, so there's this entire generation of modern ceramic Rolexes that in theory will never develop the sort of patina that the 4-digit Rolex reference numbers are acquiring right now. Now, if you're lucky enough to own one of those 4 digits, be very careful. Do not scrape off all the patina. Do not sand down a Stradivarius and put some modern shellac on that. Have it serviced the way I described in the beginning. But if more than likely you own the newer, more robust form of Rolex, which I like. I like the ceramics, the super case, the maxi dials. I like those watches much better than the old vintage ones. And in theory, our watches are never going to patina. And what I think is signs of wear, signs that somebody came before you, signs that somebody wore this watch before you, that's where the value is going to be, right? And what that means is wear your watch, but don't polish it. Don't freak out that this watch got a scratch on it. You know what? Wear it, because in 10, 20 years, the thing is going to look like new, like it came right out of the box, or it's going to look like somebody loved it. And that's going to have value. The same way that the older reference numbers have fading, this is never going to fade, but it certainly can look like someone went before, and in 20, 30, 40 years, I think that that's going to add value. Guys, scratches, it's the new patina. What do you think? Let's talk about this in the comments. Thanks for spending all this time with me. Like, subscribe, and do all that YouTube stuff. See you in the next one, guys. Goldberg, peace out.